Goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Woolscroft.
Guys, a prostitute with a heart of gold who becomes a dinosaur, Stegosaurus.
Oh, that's the sequel. That's the sequel to this.
Yeah, Carol.
That's the sequel.
So
Carol
Carol.
becomes Stegosaurus.
So good. Carol's
But
Carol's
a sequel
spin-off is
to
planned.
what, guys?
A sequel.
Velocipastor.
Oh, yeah. So, funny thing about this particular movie. So, we're going to be reviewing Velocipastor, as John and Elaine mentioned. But we actually get, I know we've mentioned this before, we get screeners all the time.
We're so fancy.
We're important. We're important. No, we get screeners all the time, and oftentimes we try our best to review the ones that we're like, okay, this kind of seems up our alley. But this one company, and I'll mention them because they're great, and because of this company, we knew about this movie way in advance before it kind of blew up. Because that's the thing, is this movie is now well known, it's popular. You know, people talk about this as like the next The Room. At least that's kind of what I've seen from it. And we'll see if that's up to the snuff there.
The movie can ride on the name alone. That's the whole selling point.
That's the whole selling point. But anyway, this company, October Coast, and I'll mention them just because they do send us a lot of cool new movies and interview opportunities. But they sent us a screener of this way back before Quarantine Land happened in 2019. And they sent it to us when this movie came out. It was in July. And I saw this, I'm just like, this is interesting. And I think I saw it and I was just like, okay, this looks really bad. And I kind of was right. But it's an awesomely bad type of movie. But I just want to shout out to October Coast. Thank you for sending us this. This is how we kind of figured out what this movie was and kind of put two and two together that, hey, this movie blew up.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that, like, it was never meant to be great. It was meant to be like, look how outrageous.
And I think that's what we have to, like, really get into here because, you know, John has mentioned this many times, like, and it's almost like soul crushing. But the best part about a film is when it's a bad movie, they have to have set out to make it good.
Yeah.
And failed.
And
that's what they have to have thought it was genius. And that's one of the reasons why Troll 2 is so great. Because if you ever see interviews with that director, he thought he was like creating art. And
he literally said, I'm making a movie about the American family.
And God bless him.
well, Lane, like there is the other route where you purposely go out of your way to make a B movie. I mean, look at the Sharknado franchise.
Yeah.
The Velocipastor is right in there with the Sharknado movies. It's like, how silly and stupid
I'd say
of a concept.
it's not. I would say that Velocipastor is not nearly as ham-fisted and bullshitty as the Sharknado franchise.
Agreed. I feel like this lies somewhere in the middle, but it is a shame because you can't taste the failure that it's just not as fun, you know?
Yeah.
Because they didn't set out to make something great. Like they took this premise and ran with it, and we'll talk about that, but it's not something that they did to create art and then fell short.
Well, as we mentioned on the show quite a bit, like Feaster, you know, the Easter Bunny slasher movie that we pitched so many times, like I've talked with many a cinematographer about this, like how do you purposely make bad cinematography? Because like there's an art to doing good cinematography and making it look bad as compared to just doing bad cinematography. Like, and so yeah, like you have to, if you're gonna do something you have to do it right, but you have to make it look wrong, and like that is so confusing.
Right. Well, for ours,
yeah.
like I would want a very good cinematographer because you have to know all the rules before you can break them.
I'm looking at you, Timmy Roberts.
I was going to say Tim Roberts.
Tim
you know.
Tim Roberts, call out.
Oh,
Tim Robbins, maybe. Ryan Haggerty, maybe.
Yep, calling out.
Oh, hey, Ryan Haggerty, if you're listening.
Ryan asked if we'd seen this, and it's funny because like you know
for
you
you,
have
buddy.
the right people in your life we had gotten the screener for this, and then Ryan asked us if we'd seen it.
Yeah.
And then I swear, like a week or two after that, my boss chatted me during work over Slack and was like, "I saw the best movie this weekend," and it was Velocipastor, and I just died. It was amazing. I have the right people in my life. Heather, I love you.
So a little bit behind the production of this, turns out the filmmaker Brendan Steer.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it Steer?
I think so.
I think it's
That extra E is messing me up.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I think so. And
So-
if we have said it wrong, I apologize. I hate that.
He apparently made this movie
mine.
for $35K, which
Nice.
good job,
Nice.
sir. Good job for you. That is awesome. $35,000 for a feature. That's good. That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. That's funny. That's several maxed out credit cards, I feel.
That is a lot of maxed out credit cards. Maybe even like the Diners Club is maxed out, that sort of thing. But
What is this, 1985, Brian?
well,
Diners
sure, he might have gotten his father's, who before he blew up, Diners Club car.
No, he didn't blow up. It was only a title card.
That's right. It was only a title card.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead here.
Anyway, so he kind of came up with this idea while he was a student at the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan. He apparently had he had autocorrected Velociraptor to Velocipastor, and that
Too
was the
funny.
impetus of this film.
Too funny.
And I mean, think about it. How many times has something been autocorrected, and you're just like, "Yep, that's a movie right there."
Listen, my phone must think I love foul because it spells out ducking all the time.
Well, and didn't he? I think he made a trailer, like a Grindhouse trailer, because in like the whole Thanksgiving
Yes.
model, and it makes sense because it's the whole joke of it is that it's so stupid that this movie would never exist outside of the world of a satirical trailer, and then they made it anyways.
Made it into a feature.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. Kind of, because too, if you guys remember the Grindhouse trailer for Eli Roth's, was it Thanksgiving?
It was Thanksgiving.
They just
They
Thanksgiving.
just call it
okay.
Thanksgiving. Yeah,
I couldn't remember.
Oh, yeah, Thanksgiving. Yeah, that's the turkey movie.
Which
that's
we
the
quote,
turkey fucking.
which we
Yeah.
quote all the time.
You're fucking right,
Or
Elaine.
fucking.
Turf fucking my finest moment. How could I not remember? That's right. That's Thanksgiving, the Eli Roth trailer. But we quote that all the time. So, dear listeners, if you ever hear us, white meat, dark meat, all will be carved. That's what that's from. You couldn't resist. You had to do it, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Because
You
you
always have to.
love impressions. I love you. I love you, baby.
Yeah. But this movie, apparently he tried to crowdfund twice through Kickstarter and Seed and Spark, and neither of those worked. This wasn't maxed out credit cards, by the way, and I'm getting this from Wikipedia. Yeah, fuck you. Research.
How many in-depth articles are there on Velocipastor? Brian? I don't
Feisty
blame
this
you.
morning.
Yeah.
Feisty this morning, and I didn't mean to imply that they were actually maxing out credit cards. I was.
Oh, no.
I was
But
absolutely joking.
apparently this came from a private investor the mother of Brendan Steer knew. So that's
cool.
kind of where it came from. And I will give him credit. He says that this movie is made to be fun, and that anyone looking for a deeper meaning in the man turns into a dinosaur genre is probably on a fool errand. I give you credit for that because you know exactly what type of movie you're making.
Oh yeah, and I think that's clear from the
That
beginning.
is clear. That is clear.
But I do have a problem with that. But
Okay.
with
What's
that-
your problem
that.
with that?
Oh, I didn't want to cut you off on your the backstory here.
No,
But,
that's good. That's good.
No, is that like okay, that's fine. I mean, obviously, of course, this movie is meant to be goofy and fun and outrageous and silly, and you're just supposed to laugh with your friends and have a couple beers or a couple of the hippie lettuce, but.
Wow, you sound
1960s John.
yeah, partake in the reefer cigarettes. But the thing is, you have to have precision, like skill, like in terms of the production, in order for the jokes to work. And this movie was riddled with bad filmmaking.
And I think that doesn't take away from his. I don't think that takes away from his kind of point of view. I think it's just an execution, as you said, and that's honestly what it is. Like, I found that there were some jokes that definitely hit, and there were some jokes that I'm just like, is this just shitty filmmaking, or is it like meant to be like this?
Yeah, or is it meta as hell? Well, and let's be frank, how convenient is that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I also hate this type of movie because it's like a get out of jail free card, like where I'm making something outrageous and it's meant to be silly and over the top, which is a cover for all matters of sin. Like,
right,
literally,
so like,
no matter what you critique about my movie, I can use it as an excuse. It was meant to be that way, whether it was or not.
Oh, so you have some dropped frames, man, like in the transitions. Oh, I meant to do it that way. Like that's...
Oh, the acting's kind of bad right there. Oh, we told him to do bad acting.
Do bad acting.
No, you didn't. It's called you couldn't afford to hire good actors, or you couldn't.
Your shot's out of focus there. We did that.
We did that on
Right,
purpose.
and that's something that John and I talk about all the time because, like,
You mean like Birdemic?
oh, Birdemic,
Shock and terror.
I love you, Birdemic, but
I don't.
No, that's something John and I talk about a lot. Is like a joke lands better. Or outrageousness in general when it's the written word, like the grammar has to be perfect. The spelling has to be perfect, or else your joke's not going to land. Like, this is the same thing. Filmmaking is the spelling and grammar of the situation. So, like, the medium has to be flawless in order for the joke to be funny, I think. And I think that the mistakes in the filmmaking do take away from the humor.
Well, I think that's kind of why movies like The Room and Troll 2, even though they're terrible, they work, is because if you break down the technical aspects of each film, they're fine. They're in focus. They're competently shot, competently, I wouldn't say acted, but competently edited, and there's visual effects in there. It's still a movie. It's just the content is what is the problem.
Especially with The Room, someone who shot that had done that before.
Exactly, but that's the thing. Is like you watch it and you're just like, I'm not distracted from filmmaking errors. Like
exactly.
You're not looking and say, okay, there's a boom shot right there. Like, obviously, there's filmmaking errors in The Room. Like, literally, one character changes from one actor to another halfway through the movie.
Steve, right?
Steve, yeah, Steve. So that happens. But I mean, altogether, the movie looks like a movie. It looks like something that was polished.
Agreed.
Even if it is a turd.
You can polish a turd.
You can polish a turd.
I saw that Mythbusters.
Yeah, that's right. And I think
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Once again, dear Psychos Nation, we are not in the same room.
That's right. We're still doing this remote. We're still
social distancing.
Still in quarantine land.
I just realized that I either know or am associated with multiple people from The Room, and I have a weird life.
Your life is weird, but
I know the cinematographer from The Room. He's a cool dude, actually. So, yeah.
John's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. But my point is just that, those movies, the B movies that we really stick to, they're still competently produced.
The execution's there.
Even Plan 9 from Outer Space, which most consider to be the king of terrible films, is competently shot. I mean, there's still things that are wrong with it, but it's still in focus. It's still edited. Is the continuity there? No, because it goes from daytime to nighttime in 2 seconds flat. But, I mean, it's still a film in the sense that it's produced under those technical guidelines. I think the problem with some of these movies like Birdemic and to some degree Velocipastor, I don't think it's nearly as bad as for Birdemic. That's unforgivable.
Birdemic is on a mountain in another.
Oh, it seriously is. It is a mount. It's on the Mount Everest.
Lord bless the mess that is Birdemic.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, Birdemic. We're in a pandemic.
Oh,
I never put that
shit.
together.
Yeah. That's
Okay then.
That's interesting. Didn't know
It's
that.
like you're the smartest person on this podcast, and you just put that together.
I know. Sometimes it takes me a hot second.
No
guys.
offense, Brian. Like, don't
that's
worry,
cool.
I'm third.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's cool. I'll take number 2. That's fine.
Amazing. Sometimes, like,
She's
that's
too
that's
smart
sort
for her own good.
Sometimes, me. Okay. Anyway, sorry. It did take me a while to put that together. My bad.
That's cool. That's cool. So yeah, let's dive into this movie because this movie is very interesting. First of all, a lot of religious shit in this movie.
Well, it is about a pastor.
I know.
So question.
Yeah.
Pastor, but he was a priest.
He was a priest.
Yeah.
So
Pastors can fuck if I'm sure about that.
to be frank,
Yeah.
yes,
They can, right?
But, as far as I know, I mean, I'm not the
You
expert.
don't have to be Frank to have sex. You can be Steve or Joe or
Big
Can't
Jim.
stand you.
Big
Can't stand you. I've been trapped in the house with this man for 8 weeks. Guys, save me.
You haven't killed him yet. That's the amazing
No,
part.
he's still
Amazingly,
alive. Are you guys
yeah.
so proud of me?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
proud of
yeah,
me.
that is confusing. How
Well, that was one of the things that kind of took me out of it, because it's Velocipastor, but then he's a priest. That threw me a little bit.
we did that on purpose.
Well,
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, it does cover all manners of sin, doesn't it?
Well, I think that's just called the main plot of the priest getting tempted by the prostitute wouldn't work if it was a pastor.
I guess.
Yeah,
I
mean,
guess.
that's-
Now,
it's
let's
not
talk-
that big. It'd be like, oh, well, he's cheating on his wife, which you're like, okay, I guess that's bad, but it's not like you got rid of your code of chastity bad.
True. That is a pretty intense pickings.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, what was the time frame? John and I thought maybe like the 70s.
That's
early 80s.
that is a problem with this film right there. Is I cannot place the time.
Right,
The reason
right,
being is that you've got a flashback to Vietnam,
Right,
and then at
that's
the
what we
same
thought.
time, you also it's modern but not modern because obviously the filmmaker was just like, well, I don't have the budget to get rid of all the cars that I see, so there's modern cars roaming
But no
around.
cell phones.
But no cell phones.
And there's a guy riding a skateboard in a Ninja Turtle sweater. Which I
John
get.
I didn't
mentioned
spot that
that-
one. I forgot that. I didn't see
John
that
mentioned
one.
that goddamn sweater to me like 4 times when we were watching
I get
it.
Like you're running and gunning, right? You're just getting the shot when you can,
Yeah.
handheld. Like that guy's just there. You can't tell him to move because you don't have a permit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it's like nobody's like looked back at the shot and went, maybe we should take this again.
John mentioned that to me when it happened, and then when we talked about the time frame, and then again when we talked about the time frame again, he was like turtle sweatshirt. I was like, dude.
Yeah.
Well, not to get too sidetracked. The only character that, for no reason whatsoever, that we go back to his time in Nam was the older priest.
Father Stevens.
Yeah, and
I think it's Stevens,
so
right?
He's supposed to be older. Yeah, so I guess.
Oh,
like,
Stewart, not Stevens. Sorry.
Oh, damn you, Brian.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
fucked it
how
up.
dare you?
But the guy's clearly 30 or 40 years older than.
Yeah.
So it could
That's
be.
true.
It could be today.
But no,
Not for Nom.
Not for
because
Nom.
You'd be 70 if you were a Nom now.
Yeah, the guy was. He was all gray. I don't know. I don't
Yeah, I
know
don't
how
know.
old he was supposed to be.
I don't know if I buy
Maybe
it.
it takes place in the 90s.
well, I got some problems with that whole flashback scene.
Right. Well,
That it's
it's-
completely unnecessary.
Well, it's unnecessary and it doesn't answer the question that
Yeah.
prompted the flashback.
Well, and two, like, just the way that it was shot, John and I were kind of joking about that. Like, and this is funny because I'm having a flashback now because John had joked when we were watching it, like, the director's, friend's mom's backyard or whatever is where they shot. When I was in the 10th grade, we had to do like a video project. Maybe it was just a project and we decided to do a video, but we did a mashup of one of Shakespeare's works with Nom.
Yeah.
And we shot it in my friend Beth's backyard because
Where is this video?
Oh, you will never find it. But we did like a mashup of that with Nom. I can't remember which which was the point of the assignment. I don't remember which work of Shakespeare it was, but we did like a mashup with that of Nom. And so shout out to Beth, Amber, Michelle, and Abby. I think we were in the same group, and we shot it in the woods, because that's what we had.
Yeah.
But it didn't look like Vietnam. It was all like, Pennsylvania trees.
That's because the woods isn't the jungle.
Right, exactly. But we tried. But we were in the
Did you have a
tent.
person in jeans too, like this movie did?
No, we all wore like fatigues or like we made sure not to wear jeans. Actually, I think I still have the pants I wore in that video.
God.
Man, there were no women in Nom.
Well, we were all pretending to be dudes, John.
Except the prostitutes.
It was a whole thing where we were all pretending to be dudes. Thanks for playing Take a Lap.
Did any of you wear like fake mustaches, like put like an eyeliner pencil and like put a mustache?
No, we
on?
didn't. We didn't work it that hard. We just pulled our hair
Or did
back.
you have like, fake Lucky Strike cigarettes taped to your helmet?
No, we
Because
didn't have.
apparently that's a thing.
We didn't have helmets. I don't think we didn't go that far.
Who needs a helmet when Charlie's shooting at you?
It was for 10th grade. It's fine. I actually really want to
God.
find that and watch it now, though.
Yeah.
Without John.
One take lane. That's what they called you.
One take lane. Oh, she's gonna kill you now.
No, it was fun. It was really fun. I loved that stuff, obviously.
So
back in the
let's
day,
actually
still
dive
now.
into the beginning of this plot
Yeah.
here, because this is gonna be fun. So the movie opens with our protagonist Doug Jones, who is a priest, not a pastor, as we alluded to, and he's exiting the church, and we get what arguably might be the biggest what the fuck.
We went back and forth on this.
Yeah, like literally we were
Bafflement.
we were messaging each other going like, okay, was this on purpose or
Did we miss
did we miss something? And I told my wife about it because my wife watched this for about 5 minutes and just like, I'm not watching this. But
Lauren is truly the smartest of us all.
she is. She absolutely is. She was just like, I'm not watching. I know you have to watch it, but I'm not watching it. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But anyway, we get this scene where Doug is saying, "Hey, mom and dad," and we get a shot
In the
of
most
mom and dad.
exposition-y way ever.
Yes.
Hey, look, it's my mom and dad.
Mom and dad.
So that we know who they are.
Yes, yes.
Thank-
We've established
thank you.
that is mom and
Thanks,
dad.
Doug. Yeah.
Thanks, Doug. And they're in front of a car waving, and then 5 seconds later we get explosion. But here's the caveat: we don't actually see the explosion. We get a title card that says VFX at explosion.
At,
Yeah,
At
and
that moment, I turned to Lynn and said, "Are we watching like a rough cut of
Yes.
this?"
Yeah,
And then
that
I'm
was
like, "Wait a
weird.
minute, it's on Amazon Prime. You
And
don't
that's
put a rough
and
cut
that's
on
what we
Amazon."
watched. We watched Amazon. Now, Brian, did you watch it on Amazon or did you watch the Vimeo version?
I watched it on Amazon.
Okay, because I had wanted to cross check Vimeo and I didn't have a chance. So I guess
From all intensive purposes, I think this was on purpose.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of movies, that like the Marvel movies, they'll, and we never see it obviously, but there's like the rough cut of the movie where they like insert, Iron Man special effects here or whatever, and
Yeah.
and they know they're gonna put it in, down
And,
the
and
line.
we've seen a few screeners like that.
Well, I remember
Yeah.
there was a big thing when we were in undergrad lane where X-Men Origins Wolverine, like the rough cut, like came out, like it leaked. And so, like,
Oh, yeah.
here's Hugh Jackman going, like, screaming, doing his Wolverine thing. And it's just, like, there's little text that's insert claw here, insert claw here.
You
And
know-
it's hysterically funny.
And it felt
to
so
watch.
right because we were in grad school, and who doesn't relate to that feeling?
We were in undergrad at that time, so we were extra snobby. Because we hadn't earned anything yet, and we were self-conscious. But anyways, but yeah, so I think they were playing off that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing like when we watched Under Control. Or is it called Goblin World now, John?
For the time being.
For the
Yeah,
time being.
John can't really say a lot.
Okay, so anyway, when we watched the movie that at the time was called Under Control and maybe called something else now,
Perfect.
we were watching that and we're like, okay, it's missing some things here. Like it's missing some music in the club scene, and there were a couple things that just weren't there. And that's a good example of like a rough cut. They
Right.
We
just
were given a private link.
And we were
It
given a
wasn't-
private
wasn't
link.
supposed to be finished, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously we're used to that, and we're watching this, and immediately I'm thinking, okay, they must have forgot this. But then I kept thinking to myself, like, why would you put this in the beginning? And that's usually the first thing that you're going to actually see. Let's say you're not going to play through the whole fucking movie while you're going to export it, which that's dumb. But maybe you forgot something in the middle. Maybe you forgot one thing in the middle. Everyone's done that. But this is the beginning. And going back, I looked at a couple of reviews of this and looked at a couple of things. And from all intents and purposes, this was on purpose.
Right. And too, I mean, like, I think one of the things that really points to it being on purpose is like this event is the character's like circle of being. Like, this is what happened to make the character who he is. So if anything, like, this would have had to have the effects in it. So them not being there is absolutely purposeful.
This is before he went to China, which was just the other end of his friend's mom's backyard.
Well, that
Where he
whole
went
scene,
in the mountain.
No, but that whole scene is hilarious. Like the lead up to that. So we get introduced to after his mom and dad blow up in the fake explosion that isn't there. We get introduced to Father Stewart, who I'm pretty sure is a racist.
Stewart.
Like he says, parents, their role is to die.
They're supposed to die.
What?
That was bleak, right?
What?
That
I was like,
real bleak.
Jesus Christ, man, you're a fucking priest and you're saying that? That's horrible. So he says, you have to go to where it's ungodly. Go where there's no God. So that's China?
Yeah, that was weird.
And then
we picked up on that.
And
too.
then later in the movie, like right after he gets back from China, he has one of his delusional dreams. He says, "Oh, you still have this thing from the Chinese?"
Oh yeah,
like a Chinese.
I turned to Lynn at that point. I'm like, was that a mistake that they kept in, or was that supposed to be a joke? Because I had a lot of that with this movie.
And then we were like, or is he racist? And we were like, maybe racist.
I'm guessing that he might be a little racist because, one, you're saying that there's no God in China and that you're referring to a person as a Chinese. Like, that's, that's bad.
Yeah,
it's
real
really,
bad.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he goes to China and literally is only there for 5 minutes backpacking through the forest of his backyard. And
the forest of the mountain.
And the forest of the mountain.
Sorry.
And, he kind of comes across a woman who's running away with some kind of dinosaur tooth, and she gets shot with arrows.
Which, the production company or the production team, which was like probably about 3 people, they said, "Hey, do any of us know an Asian?"
Oh, John.
Man.
Or they went, "Oh, I work with a lady. She looks Chinese. Like, all right, well, get her on the movie. We're gonna give her $100 because we need an Asian."
Well, at least he didn't say we need a Chinese.
Yeah, at least he didn't say that. 'Cause that's really both are bad. But
I think that's British slang, getting a Chinese. I think that's slang in Britain for getting Chinese takeout, actually. Fun fact.
I don't think you refer to a person as
definitely not.
Chinese.
Turning Japanese means you're orgasming.
Yes.
I really think so.
Yeah, in the 80s when everyone was racist as shit.
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
true.
Anyways.
Yeah, anyway, so he gets this dinosaur tooth and somehow cuts his hand. We don't really see how.
And that would cost money.
Yeah, and his blood intermixes with the dinosaur bone, which causes him to basically pass out. And we cut to him in bed back in America land.
AKA 6 feet away.
6 feet away. Down the street.
Yeah, in a different building in town.
America land.
America land. And, Father Stewart is saying, "Oh, you still are having those delusions and those nightmares." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just really hungry." Okay.
That's
and
right.
he starts to run outside and, again, saying he's really hungry. And that's when he transforms into a dinosaur.
Yep. It's pretty magnificent.
And saves not at this exact moment, but down the line, he saves a prostitute with a heart of gold.
Yes, he does.
It's true.
But I will say this then leads to kind of the title credits, which I gotta say, I really like the title credits in this.
Agreed. It was like the best part of the movie.
Well, a lot of times you'll see that with these movies. Like the cover art will be fantastic or the opening credits will be fantastic, but then the movie all around it is a piece of turd.
Well,
Piece of turd.
a piece of turd, not a whole turd, just a piece of one.
No, yeah, just a hunk. Like you look at it on the street, like on the sidewalk. Is that
Is that a shit?
a turd?
Ew.
Well,
John, you gave that way
Let's
too
just
much
walk.
thought.
Let's walk by it. Just walk by it. Don't.
well,
yeah.
I gotta
so much
say
thought.
there are things. The style of this movie in certain points is really successful. This is one of them. The opening actual titles is really well done. I'll give him credit for that.
I enjoyed it,
because
too.
he did rear projection. You can tell that. And it doesn't work if you're trying to think of continuity, because obviously it wouldn't be dark inside the car, like pitch black, and
Right,
light
but
outside.
But it's stylized.
But it's
and,
stylized, and I'd say that's successful. If he's trying to go for that B movie grindhouse look, that works.
Definitely,
and there are moments in this
definitely.
movie when that does happen, and you're just like, okay, I get what you're doing here. But it leads to that, and then we're introduced to Carol, the prostitute with a heart of gold, and her pimp, Frankie Mermaid, who's a mermaid as he's swimming in bitches.
Ew, everything about that was so gross.
This man had way too much fun with this role and thought he was way more clever.
I'm
than
gonna
he
say
was.
right here. They killed off Frankie Mermaid way too early.
Oh,
They should have
hot
had.
take.
There should have been more Frankie Mermaid in this,
Hot
because
take.
Frankie Mermaid was chewing the shit out of this movie, and he was having fun. He obviously shaved his head for this. Like, you could clearly see that he actually does have a full head of hair, but shaved it for the movie. So that's some fucking dedication there.
Def.
And
I want to believe this guy is
Yeah.
English. Like you see on The Walking Dead all the time, and I haven't seen behind the scenes. Yeah, well, see, I played Frankie Mermaid in the movie, and
and in
how
the
I
show,
approached the role. Yeah.
and in the show, he's like, "I'm Frankie Mermaid."
Yeah. Well, he's like, well, I was educated at Juilliard, and I took the role of Frankie Mermaid because I really wanted to stretch my range as an actor. So I thought to myself, well, what would this man Frankie Mermaid be like? Well, he would obviously be disheveled. He would be speaking with a thick American accent, and of course he would have had his head shaved. Of course he would, because he would not be logical enough to know that once you start going bald, you probably should just shave the whole thing.
Proper hair. No.
Yeah, good.
Well, right, when you said
Totally good.
Juilliard, I was thinking to myself, it's like, well, I attended Juilliard. I survived the Black Plague. I had a pretty good time doing that. I saw The Exorcist about 167 times, and it kept getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention you're talking to a dead guy.
Yeah, where do you think I got that from?
Wow, you guys went somewhere together, and I was not invited.
You were there.
But no, and what I liked about this is that Carol, the character of Carol, the prostitute, she was likable, and the actress was pretty good.
Was she likable though? 'Cause she
I
really
thought-
didn't do anything in the movie.
But she didn't annoy me.
Well,
The bar's low, Brian.
I know the bar's low, but I'm just, I don't know. I just felt she was not really useful in the plot, other than to kind of just.
Give me your penis of vengeance.
Yes.
Yeah. She
Yeah,
was there
I mean-
to lead the main character into blood murder.
Well, for what she was, she wasn't
Blood murder?
She wasn't going to be anything more than a sexy lamp, guys.
I
Like
know.
that's what these kind of movies are.
I know. So anyway, Doug gets back from China, and he has this new special power in which he turns into a dinosaur.
This pandemic is his fault, right? He fucked a bat or
It
something
is.
over there.
That's exactly
you
what
fucking
happened.
dinosaur, John. That's what we're talking about. Try to keep up, okay?
So he's able to transform into a dinosaur, and I gotta say, good job with not showing us the dinosaur for most of the movie.
Right.
And this is going to be a big criticism when we get towards the end. But I gotta say, if you don't have the budget, don't do something over the top and then do it kind of half-assed. If you can only show a couple things here or there, but that's kind of the extent of it, then just do that. Take a page out of Jaws. Jaws, they couldn't get the fucking shark to work until the last day, but they were able to make it work
Right.
with, showing things here or there, or the POV. But, they did a good job of kind of hiding his powers and only showing like him beginning to transform, which you can kind of control. But towards the end, they kind of go, off the deep end with showing the dinosaur, and it kind of ruins everything. But anyway,
Not
you
to
know,
be dramatic.
not to be dramatic.
Just ruin Brian's life. It's fine.
But
It
anyway,
does look like a Party City velociraptor.
oh man, I'm going to tell you some things about Party City in this movie that are all over the place. So anyway, he saves Carol by eating just some guy who's going to rob her, and then he wakes up in her bed and he thinks, "Oh my God, I've had sex with a harlot," which he actually says. He says that.
He calls her a Jezebel.
He calls her a Jezebel.
Makes me throw up.
What is this, Jim Ross and WWE? Oh, Jezebel.
There's your wrestling
There it is.
Reference, yeah.
There it is. So, he leaves her bed because she's like, "Oh, you saved my life. You could do some really good things. You take care of all these criminals all over the place by killing them, because that works." And he ends up going back to the church, and he's going to go do his confession thing. And who shows up but our man, Frankie Mermaid? And I don't know why Frankie Mermaid would think it's okay to go to a confession. Like, why would you do that? But while he's there, he's talking about how he kills people and everything. And, Doug is saying, "Okay, well, tell me who you killed last." And sure enough...
And okay, so that's something someone does.
Sure.
Let me
tell
my
you about all these.
crimes
I
in
kill
detail.
people. I do some coke. I have hookers. And it's like, okay, Frankie. And he's like, "Yeah, I killed this old couple right outside of the church, and one of you guys came out." And it turns out that Frankie was the one who blew up the fake Not There car.
Dun dun.
And,
Dun 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 dun.
and unfortunately, old Doug gets worked up, but I'm sure that Mr. Mermaid would have said, "Frankie says relax."
Oh, well, Frankie did say that blowing up the old lady and the old man gave him a hard-on.
So gross.
It's Frankie Mermaid, okay?
It's that kind of movie, folks.
So gross.
Yeah. So Doug, basically, I'd say dinos out instead of wolfs out. So he dinos out and rips through the confessional and slits Frankie Mermaid's throat.
That's a pretty good scene. Not gonna lie.
It's a good scene.
Oh, there's some jokes that do work because the production doesn't fail them at that moment. But
Yeah.
then there are other jokes where it's just like, that would have been funny if you had competency,
Yeah.
Well, and I mean that's being awfully harsh. I mean, for me, I think that the biggest issue, if we want to talk about it, the grammar or whatever, to me, if we're gonna make an analogy, I think that the
Wait, just
edit.
did air quotes, by the way, folks.
I did do air quotes. You could hear the air quotes. You can
Okay.
hear air quotes. Grammar.
Grammar.
But I think that the edit really just needed to be tighter and cleaner, and that would have really helped this movie. If even the editor just made one more pass, or a new editor came in and just made one more pass, even just to clean up what was there. I'm not even saying to change anything,
Right.
But just to clean up what was there, because I noticed drop frames. I noticed frames of black in transitions that shouldn't have been there. Some of the fades were just incorrectly
Yes.
faded.
Never at any time did they have a tripod.
No
I mean,
tripod.
like,
allowed.
you have to-
I'm a big proponent of, if you're gonna do a long fade, both shots have to be locked down, or else it's nauseating and confusing for that fade. And if you're shaking the camera on one end and shaking the camera on the other, and you fade them together, it is the most ugliest thing you'll ever fucking see.
Permits
And
aren't
it's
cheap,
the sign.
kids.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's a sign of amateur filmmaking 101. And the thing is, just put the camera on some books. You don't even need a tripod if
Well,
it's just locked down.
I
Fair.
think a lot of filmmakers in the beginning, I'm guilty of this too, they kind of view that tripods are amateur hour, and it's not. It's actually the opposite.
Right,
If you're
but you need a permit if you're going to put down a tripod, That's
Right.
Sticks.
Right. But even nowadays, you could, let's say you didn't have a permit, and you've got, camera stabilization on. You could then go into something like Premiere and even turn warp stabilizer on, and that'll stabilize the footage even more. So
Right,
it's
that's
true.
just having someone to know that, and really say, okay, we don't have a permit for this. Maybe we just try to hold it as best as possible. Maybe we get a steady cam, or even a smaller steady cam. Nothing that anything
Oh, Christ, even a monopod. Monopods
Yeah.
are $10.
Yeah. If you had a monopod and you just basically just placed it on the ground really quick, you stood right next to it, I think you'd get a decent shot.
Agreed.
But
warp stabilizer will degrade your footage. Like, God forbid you just get it, you do it right.
shoot the thing in
outside.
4K and you're fine.
Yeah.
You know. But point is it's just that if you at least, I think you just have to kind of plan this stuff out in advance before you commit to just going out and shooting it. And that's the thing, is if people don't plan out their shots, or they don't plan out their film properly, you get messes kind of like this. And I get it. You know, permits are not cheap. They are expensive. Now, if we find out that, hey, he did this and didn't need a permit, then there's no excuse.
True.
No excuse then. But
True.
Getting back to the story here, he kills Frankie Mermaid, which I thought Frankie Mermaid was going to be like the big bad. So I was
Yeah,
like,
me
okay,
too.
where the fuck do you go from this? But at this time,
The
you know,
Yakuza, I guess. That's Japanese.
No. This is something else. Well, Doug returns to Carol's house and says that he killed Frankie Mermaid, and she's all like, "Oh my God, he freed me!" And Carol tries to again say that you should kill bad guys, and they go and decide to kill all the criminals, but we don't see any of it because instead we get a montage.
I liked the montage, actually.
I gotta say, the montage was great. I gotta say, this guy, Brendan Steer, he does an awesome job with split screen.
Yeah, he gives good
I gotta
montage.
say, he gives really good montage. Yeah, that does sound sexual.
I liked it.
But
Yeah.
not
I stand by
montage
it.
or trois.
Montage or trois. But I gotta say, he
Good
really
one, babe.
he really does do a good job with montage. Either him or his editor. But his split screen is really what I think sets him apart. If he didn't have the split screen during that montage, I don't think it'd be nearly as strong. You know, even the way that he's colored the shots are really strong too. They kind of have
agreed.
that really, you know, grindhousey vibe to it.
Mm-hmm. Did he also edit? Do we know that much?
Let me see here.
We suck.
Yeah, he did. He did
Did he?
edit it. Yeah,
Nice.
he did edit.
Nice.
Oh, I think that was in the end credits.
Oh,
It was
that's
written,
right.
directed, and edited. And remember, I said I don't think you should take credit for editing.
Yep.
Just
John
Alan Smithy,
definitely,
the editing.
definitely
John Smith.
was unkind.
Alan Smithy, the
Alan
editing.
Smithy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I always take credit for editing because that's my favorite part.
But Brian, you're a good editor. Like,
Funny
if
thing
you
about
if you
that.
had edited Velocipastor, I'd been like, Brian, take your name off it.
If I edited Velocipastor, it'd be like a lot better.
Oh my.
But my point is just that the montage scene, while it is competently made and I'd say even above competently made, it doesn't show us anything other than the relationship between the two. And we get like a little bit of the murderings. So that tells me he didn't have the people or the stuff to kind of really show that.
Oh yeah, it was a workaround. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I haven't been this disappointed about something I didn't see since we found that pit of Gundogs. Yeah.
What?
Attack of the Clone style, where like we hear about all kind of Obi-Wan and Anakin's like cool adventures we're never gonna get to see.
Yeah, we don't need to see
Yeah.
those. We don't need to see those.
It's true.
I went up against the sand monster. I don't like sand. We know that, Anakin. Fuck you. So anyway, after this montage, Father, what's his face, Stewart, sees Doug and Carol, kind of getting a little bit too close,
Canoodling a bit
for some Catholic comfort there.
Yeah.
And so he has
yeah,
kind of
she's not a 9-year-old boy.
No. If it was a 9-year-old boy, he'd be
Ew.
like, okay.
Yeah,
You guys are so rude.
Why haven't you sealed the deal yet?
Let's not make light of people's trauma, guys.
It's okay. Sorry.
Wait, should we not make a spotlight of it?
This guy with the puns.
He does have all the puns. So anyway, Father Stewart basically sits him down and is like, "You're going to need an exorcism because of the demon in you." Because first he's like,
What,
you got to
semen?
he's like, "You got to stay away from that Carol," and it's like, okay, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And then
because
he,
bitches be tripping.
and then he.
Whoa.
Jesus Christ, man. We're never going to get through this movie. We're going.
No.
So he ends up confessing that he is possessed by a dinosaur, and he does have these abilities, which Father Stewart's like, you're fucking crazy. And if you aren't crazy, you've got a demon in you, which I'm like, so let me get this straight. You won't believe that he has a dinosaur in him and he's the dinosaur powers, but you'll believe that he's possessed by demons?
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Like, is one better than the other?
Demons.
Like,
Sex demons.
No, it's called sexual repression. That's what it is.
It's called my semen's backed up.
That's right. It's a lot of backup. Yeah, a lot of backup there. You know?
The piping's full.
The piping is full.
God.
And if you've willed it so that nothing's getting released, then that's horrible. So anyway,
Wow.
Father Stewart takes him again. This doesn't really make much sense, but he takes him to some kind of mystic, crazy guy with black eyeliner called Altair.
Oh yeah, I liked Altair.
Altair is cool, but the problem is that he doesn't get a whole lot of time.
JK. Altair read tarot cards like a bitch. No,
yeah,
just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really read tarot cards.
No.
But Altair is someone that Father Stewart knew, and this is where we get this really weird, ham-fisted flashback.
Yeah, the non-flashback.
Father Stewart's like, I've known Altair for a long time. I haven't seen him since the war.
Oh my God, John and I died. That was like the best line.
Yeah, and the flashback to the war. Sorry to cut you off there, but
no, it's fine.
The guy is like, "Hey, kid," like Altair is talking to the priest or whatever. Like, when you get back, kid. Like, obviously he's supposed to be the older person.
Yeah,
but Father, what's his ass?
Stewart.
Stewart is like 25 years older than Altair, so it's like
in a bad wig.
How dare you? That blonde wig took years off.
It
of
did,
his appearance.
didn't it?
With the helmet that was clearly keeping
what
the
I
wig
don't
on.
get is, first of all, wasn't the flashback supposed to like show us Altair? And I immediately thought, I'm like, oh, is this friend Altair?
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
what I thought too.
back
but
in the
then
day,
the friend like didn't.
he gets
happen.
shot.
Yeah, he was killed, and then like Father
Stewart's
lady got killed, and I was like, what
okay,
was the
I gotta
point of
say
any
that
of
part
this?
was awesome.
It was awesome. The effects actually were amazing.
That part, good job.
But
good
legit,
job, buddy.
what was the point of any of it?
There was no. Well, the only point it was to show is that Father Stewart only got into the church because his wife traveled to Vietnam and got blown up in front of him. Which that makes sense and all because they had shore leave in Vietnam.
Yeah. Nothing like a side character's like random journey that doesn't carry on the plot. Like, I loved finding out how Knox got into journalism in Batman '89. Like, that was a fun scene.
You cheating nerd.
I really didn't need to know. Nance used to be a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist until he started writing about the adventures of the Batman.
Well, it's a little lighter in the Cornell Maltese, in fairness.
Yeah, it is. You
God,
fucking
you guys
nerd.
are the worst.
So yeah, we get this whole flashback thing where, Father Stewart's wife blows up in front of him. And as I said, that effect was really good. He gets covered in her blood.
Pink mist. Loved it.
And she's just like, wow. And the people around him like, wow, I guess she'll never start that family.
Yeah, because they talk about having 9,000 children.
You're going to have 11 kids. 11 kids. You're going to name one of them. You're going to name one of them Ali. Name one of them Ali. It's like, okay.
Yeah, what is he, a turn of the century Irishman? 11 kids? Good Lord.
You name one of them. It's like, they only had 11 kids because they knew that 5 of them would die from dysentery.
Yikes.
Like, that was the thing.
Amazing.
Well, and every sperm is sacred.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay. Whatever. So anyway, we get this ridiculous flashback that really does nothing other than just to say that Father Stewart wasn't always on a path to being a father. And then we cut back to this really weird seance thing that Altair's doing where he's just mumbling words, and that causes Doug to transform into the Velocipastor. Which, again, this is great because they kind of get him at mid-transformation. So he's got some makeup on him. He's got, his claw things, and he rips out Father Stewart's eyeball.
Yeah. Take that, Father Stewart, his friend. And ally.
he kind of deserved it. We've already established that Father Stewart is a little bit racist.
True.
And on top of that,
we'll call it grandpa racism.
I think that's probably it.
The forgivable, adorable kind of racism.
Yeah, kind of like they're not going to
JK.
do anything about it. They're just going to say things at Thanksgiving. And
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, there's no
So
adorable racism.
after this, Doug kind of, runs out, and then he gets. I'm probably jumping through stuff here, but he ends up meeting up with Carol. They have some sexy times, and which long ass sex scene that really wasn't necessary.
Are they ever?
well, it
No.
wasn't even like, I don't want to sound like a weirdo pervert, but it wasn't even shot very well. Like, you would think in like a B $2 movie like this, they would have had like a gratuitous sex. Not even gratuitous. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, that's not necessarily what I'm saying, but like, it wasn't shot competently to even look like a Top Gun sex scene.
I think it's called the director didn't have the ability to have the actress who plays Carol show any real nudity.
True.
So it's like, how do you do that? And I can understand that. I've the thesis film I made in college, in grad school, that had a sex scene in it, and had to find a way to shoot that. And the actress I had, was like, okay, this is what I'll do, but I don't want, nudity. So it's like, okay, fine, we'll find a way to do it. And, it kind of reminded me of that, and I kind of knew what the director was probably trying to deal with how do you do that. So
Makes sense.
I get that. I just don't, I think, again, and this will come into play when we get to the ending. If you can't shoot something, don't just throw it in there.
Fair.
Find other ways that you can do this. That there's you could very easily have it where maybe Doug goes back to Carol's apartment and like they just the clothes come off and they go into a room.
Right. Yeah.
There you go.
Or do it like you did earlier in the movie, PFX, porn effects. Like, insert here later. Insert him, insert Doug later.
Or just
shoot
the
it like
thing
you're
that says
shooting it-
gratuitous sex scene.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or shoot it like you're shooting it for TV, Like,
Yeah.
Just show like an arm over blankets, or you know what I mean? Like that. I mean, I feel
Well,
like
that's
it
what they
could be
did.
done.
That's what they kind
Yeah.
of did. But I just think it was way too long.
Yeah, for as little as it was.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't have it, you don't have it. But try to, just allude to it.
Show us them titties. No, just kidding.
Or that,
just
too.
kidding. No, just kidding.
Well,
That
if he's
is
doing a
not-
grindhouse film, then that's what he should have done.
I was just kidding, though.
The titties would have made my enjoyment a lot better.
I'm sure, honey.
And I'm not going to be picky either. Could have been dude titties. It would have been fine.
Ditties.
Dude, titties.
I just need more
Okay.
titties. But
All right,
So-
we gotta wrap this
So
up.
anyway,
guys. My goodness.
we're getting through it. So anyway, the sex scene happens, and then they're attacked by ninjas.
Which was amazing.
The ninjas.
Made me real happy.
What the fuck?
We'd seen like a scene of them beforehand.
We did.
They were like kind of a thing.
back in China.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So apparently, the ninjas aren't actually ninjas, because we're kind of led to believe that this ninjas, they were the ones behind the cocaine, and that the people that Doug is killing are working for the drug cartel, being the ninjas.
Right.
Well, turns out that these ninjas are actually ninja priests.
Dun, dun,
Because
dun.
fuck you.
And
Fuck you.
they, fuck you. And we find out that the ninja priest plan, head by Wei Chan, which good job casting, I gotta say, he's a good actor for this role.
Right.
And their plan is to get people hooked on cocaine and then cut off the supply so they turn to God, which I gotta say, that's really it's detrimental to religion right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I've heard worse plans.
I have heard worse plans.
Just kidding.
No, but seriously, that if you wanted to write a fuck you Catholicism movie, this is it. Like this is
maybe.
pretty much it.
Pretty
You're gonna get people hooked on a substance and then take it away and force them to convert to Catholicism. So
Well, I mean, the AA program is very religious.
yes,
So
yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
fits.
It does fit. So ultimately, I'm cutting through a lot of things here because there's this movie's.
It's good. It's
It's
fine.
good. It's fine.
Everything's fine.
But ultimately, Doug and Carol decide to confront the ninjas. Again, we don't know if they're in China or if they're back home. They don't say.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And it's
Well, yeah, because
also
a bunch of ninjas jump into their apartment and they both suddenly know kung fu.
they all know kung fu.
They cut it.
Love it.
They put into the Matrix real quick to get like their kung fu training, and they're like, "Oh, well, let's take on all the ninjas now because apparently we're master fighters."
Yeah, and here's what happens. They confront them all. They kill a bunch of them, and then it's revealed that one of like the Wei Chan's like right hand man is actually Doug's brother.
That was actually kind of a funny
Which-
twist because we went to like some of the flashbacks that had already shown
Yes.
in the film, and then
You're my
we
only
see-
son. No, what?
And then
the
we
kid
see like
pops
the
up in the
twist
back.
of
Yeah.
like where the like brother was there all along. Like that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah,
I
I
did
gotta
that.
say,
That was good.
that was one of those jokes where it's like, haha, I'm actually the brother, which I get that. I get that. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Desperado.
I did wonder what
Yeah.
this like redheaded dude was doing with like all these effing ninjas. So it made sense then.
Yeah. And of course he kills his brother because that's what you got to do.
Yep.
He's got to
It's
die.
an unfortunate side effect of being
Bible
a Velocipastor.
shit right there.
Yeah, that's some Bible shit right there. And then we get this fight with Wei Chan, Doug and Wei Chan. Oh, and by the way, Carol's been sliced open,
Oh yeah.
yet she's still alive.
Yeah. Somehow.
Yeah, Carol was sliced open by a big ass ninja.
Yeah, it was sword to the chest, which is a nice like nod to Miami connection. It won't be the last.
No,
Nah.
no, it won't.
Spoiler.
So Wei Chan shoots Doug with some arrows with some anti-venom that apparently stops him from transforming into a dinosaur. Because prior to this, he went full dinosaur. And this is the one time that we actually saw the dinosaur suit. And holy shit, this is the worst dinosaur costume I've ever seen.
It was pretty bad.
It honestly, it's probably a step up from those inflatable dinosaur costumes that everyone seems to be wearing now because
really
they think
want one.
that that's personal protective equipment. And it's not. It's not. No, it's not.
I want one.
I always hate those people at Steel City Con. Like, those aisles are thin to begin with, and you got some guy who's in this gigantic rubber dinosaur. I'm like, I fucking hate you.
They're thinking their cosplay is amazing.
I'm gonna punch you.
I'm trying to get to my Funko Pops.
I'm trying to get to all my Funko Pops, and I'm going to sit in the DeLorean, and I can't get there because you asshole are in my way.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel that. Yeah, because it reminds me of Carnosaur, the movie that Roger Corman made when
Yeah.
Jurassic Park was really popular, and like the dinosaurs are cheap there, but they're passable if you you okay with that. Like,
Yeah.
but like this is just
Well, my whole thing is that they clearly found a way to show that Doug can transform into some kind of beast, practically. So they were able to show that his hands can transform. They were able to show that his face can transform a little bit because he had contacts in, and they did some kind of makeup prosthetics to his face. Why do you have to show him turn into a full dinosaur if it's not going to be convincing?
Yeah. I mean,
I feel the movie had to end. Sorry, Lane. I feel the movie had to end with like a dinosaur fight.
yeah.
Like, he had to go, it's like, people complained, oh, Freddy versus Jason, like, there's not much fighting. It's like, I'm sorry, did you want, like, I mean, I'm not defending that movie because it was shite,
It was
but
a
like,
shite film.
did you want just 2 hours of them fighting back and forth? No, you got to build up to, like, the big confrontation. Like,
Right.
yeah, it's like, you got to end with and thank God that they didn't just, like, overdo it earlier in the movie where, like, it would have worked even less because
True.
we had already seen so much dinosaur fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I felt the movie had to end with it. So yeah, they should have. And I feel that the director would say, as we've mockingly presented so much in this episode, that it was supposed to look as shitty as possible because that's what's funny. It's like, but sometimes jokes don't work. Like somebody had to look at the costume and go, guys, I don't think the joke's gonna land. It's distractingly bad. It's not funny bad.
Well,
Right.
I think for me, it's a matter of throughout the whole movie up until this point, you were able to convincingly show me that this guy was transforming into a dinosaur, by not showing me the full dinosaur. And that's the thing is that I know he's probably thinking, aha, well, you see, I need to show how shitty it is at the end. Do you? Do you have to? Because so far, I'm believing that this guy, at least within the confines of the world, can transform into, some kind of creature. Okay? His hands can transform, his face and body has been able to transform. Okay. But then why do you have to literally throw that out the fucking window? Throw all that goodwill out the window to show me literally a guy in a dinosaur suit. It was disappointing.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I think that even if they'd used it less and had been clever about the shooting, I think they could have gotten away with it, a little bit more of POV shots, like, John Carpenter style, like from Halloween. If they'd done a little bit more like thoughtful camera work,
or just don't do the wide. Like that's the big thing
exactly.
there.
That's what I was gonna say. Like do like more close-ups and stuff, just to kind of give like more of an impression of things.
What they did earlier.
Yeah.
But it's the wide is where it all just goes to hell.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed. I kept saying to Lane, if Carol, the prostitute with a heart of gold, doesn't bang the dinosaur version of him, then this movie was for nothing.
It's all John wanted.
And
was
she
for
did
her
it.
to
I thought
bang
at the end it was going to be
him.
like, oh, give me some sugar, baby. And she was going to be like, it's not you that I want.
It's
and then
the dinosaur bone.
she's going to ride the velociraptor, and I was so sad they didn't have
That's all
dinosaur
John
sex
wanted,
scene.
and he was denied his heart's desire.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Probably
Maybe the filmmaker will listen to this and just be like, you know what? I couldn't get it in. Couldn't
Give
get
the
it in
people
there.
what they
It's on the
want.
cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Sure.
Guys, can we talk about when Carol lives and she's like
Well, I wanted
clearly in the pediatrician's
Well,
office?
wait,
Well,
hold on.
I wanted to get
I
to
know where
this
Brian's going with
whole Wei Chan fight thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
okay.
we cannot.
I have to talk about this.
I'm sorry, guys. I got really excited. I'll
I know. Good thought though, but we'll get to that part because that is really bad. So it ends up coming down to Wei Chan versus Doug the Velocipastor, and he gets shot with these arrows that immediately turn off his dinosaur transforming abilities. Okay,
He's cured.
he's cured. And Wei Chan basically says, "Aha! Well, you're the last of the dragon warriors," and we're like, "So you mean dinosaurs?" Like that's what they are.
What's like Ancient Aliens on History Channel, right? Like they didn't know what they were seeing, so they thought it was right.
Yeah. And he basically says that, the dragon warriors existed throughout eternity, and now we're discovering their bones. We're like, yeah, dinosaurs. That's what you're talking about.
They're called dinosaurs,
They're
bro.
called
Yeah.
dinosaurs, asshole.
Asshole.
And Doug says, well, they didn't affect my hands. Okay, which he then rips off Wei Chan's head. And we get,
Oh my god, it's so amazing.
We get a couple things here. One,
me so
the
happy.
prop head, it spatters blood all over him, and it's so tiny.
It's so good.
It's
It
so
looks like one of
small.
those heads that like barbers use.
It
like,
is.
that they put wigs on to like practice.
That's because it is one of those.
It's so good. They got the facial hair right though.
They did, but
And the
everything else
eyebrows.
not so much.
Yeah.
And then the best part is it has a quote from Gandhi talking about how violence isn't the answer.
and I'm assuming
Good job,
that's
filmmaker. Good job.
Yeah,
I'm
it was
assuming that's an
really great.
homage to Miami Connection.
Yes.
because that was like the end quote of that movie.
Yes.
It was really funny.
Yes, there's some homages in here. And then, so the head gets ripped off and there's blood everywhere. And then Doug kind of rushes over to Carol, remembering that she got sliced open. And we then cut to inside of a hospital, which, Lane, you want to take us into this one?
So it's like a waiting room with
The worst
modern,
doctor ever.
with modern magazines, and the doctor comes in, and all I remember is he has that ridiculous like shiny thing in his head that old doctors used to have.
No
And
real doctor has that anymore.
And he
like old-timey doctors. Like Elaine, you mean he's at the hospital? You mean his dentist's office?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be a waiting room at the hospital, and it's just like a rando waiting room. And and the doctor comes in. He starts to smoke.
Well, it's not even that he starts to smoke. He goes through the ashtray, which, guess what? There's no ashtrays in doctors' offices anymore. Okay?
Right.
So he goes
This is why I thought it was maybe like older. You know
It
what I
might
mean?
be. He goes through the ashtray. He finds a half-smoked cigarette from somebody else,
So
lights
sanitary.
it up, and he's just like, well, you're in luck. She's alive still. Which
It's like, what?
I thought she was dead.
I
Like,
mean, she seemed dead.
She coughed up so much blood.
There was
And
a lot
that
of
pissed me
blood.
off because like that's the go-to when you don't have money for effects. Like put the fake blood in the actress's mouth and let her
I've done
spit
it.
out. Like, because she didn't have internal injuries. She was sliced like on her chest. Why is she bleeding from the inside?
Because it
Wow.
looks cool.
Dr. John over here.
Just saying it looks cool.
Yeah,
Um,
but so here's what I didn't like about what happens next. So Doug goes to see her in her room. She is in an exam table on an exam table that's like in the sitting position.
Mhm.
She does have like a gown on,
Yeah.
but she's clearly wearing her outfit from the last scene underneath of it.
Yes.
So you can see the plaid like collar at her neck. I can't, guys. I
Yeah.
can't. Why isn't she just wearing the
What she wore before?
Yeah, or like the gown, like they cleaned her up and like she doesn't have anything on underneath. Like
I imagine it like most times 95% of movies are not shot chronologically.
No.
But I feel like this movie wasn't. But at this point, she's like, this director is really skeeving me out, so I'm not taking my shirt off.
No, that's not fair. We know nothing about him. That's
I know.
not fair.
No,
I
it's
just
not
meant
fair.
like because of like the story and stuff. Like
Right. But it's just amazing because it's like not hospitalish at all. I would have much rather like a scene where she just woke up in her own bed and Doug's there and like, like, I don't know, like I prayed over you and you're now well, or I don't know. Like,
no,
it's just-
he basically gave up his
that's
faith.
true.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that.
He gave up his faith through his penis.
Fine. So my penis made you well. I don't know, but like I just to do it like
My
to do
cum
it-
was salved
I
for
mean,
your injury.
I mean, it was Velociraptor semen. So
but
I mean,
to do it this way where they're in like a doctor's office instead of a hospital situation, like
Yeah.
woof.
yeah.
Didn't work. It
Well,
didn't work.
the movie finally ends because we're like, when the hell's this thing
Finally
gonna end?
ends.
It ends with them by a car, and they're just like, she's like, "There's a bounty on your head. What are you gonna
By
do
who?
now?" We don't know. We don't know
it's
who.
fine.
It just sounds really cool.
It does.
Yeah. So there's a bounty on his head, and they plan on traveling the world, killing criminals with his dinosaur powers. The end.
So it's natural born killers at the end, right?
But only his dinosaur hands, right? Because he can't turn the rest of the way.
No, it only I imagine that the anti venom only lasted, for like that moment. I'm pretty sure you can probably
I
still
thought
turn
it was
into
like-
a Velocipastor.
I thought it was a cure. My bad.
I'm starting to think there's holes.
Yeah,
Holes in the story.
might
How
there be
dare
holes
you.
in this movie? Because I think there
How
are.
dare you?
Carol had holes that made him lose his faith.
Oh, you had to say that, didn't you?
Wow.
Yeah, and that's Velocipastor. What the fuck, man? Like, as I said, there are some moments in this where you can tell the filmmaker clearly had a vision, what he was trying to do. And there are also parts in this that you're just like, why? Like, I mentioned that I was going to talk about Party City in this. So I worked at Party City a long
Right.
time ago.
Right.
And I got to know the costume section very well. And let me tell you something. They've got all the costumes from Party City, the priest costumes. They literally have the ties in the back.
So bad.
Like I could see it. I'm like, you got the Neo Matrix costumes right there. And you sewed on the white parts.
Wow.
That's what
really
you did.
funny. That's really funny. That's really
And
funny.
I mean that's one of the things when you don't. It's not even a matter of money. It's when you don't know where to go for that kind of stuff. Like you don't know a costume person.
Well,
You're
not
gonna
even
go buy
that.
Halloween outfits.
Not even that. Like, you could have just done a black shirt, and
Right.
black pants,
Right.
and just like got a piece of white fabric and sewed it on there, like.
Yeah, it's true.
Or
My mom made me I made my father play a pedophile priest.
Of course you did.
You made him play that?
Well, no, I had him. I was like, Dad, can you play a pedophilic priest in like an interview segment? And my dad was like, okay.
And I was like, okay.
And the thing is, like, my mom made the collar. Like, she's good at like sewing and stuff. Like, I just had him in a black shirt, and then we over the like a button down, and then over the actual collar of the shirt, we put on the priest collar, and it was funny because my dad was quite the smoker, and it's funny you guys mentioned the cigarette thing. My dad would, if he wasn't finished with a cigarette, he would like put it out like at the grocery store, like he would put it out outside, and he would put it like on like a windowsill or something.
Yeah.
And then he would come out and pick the cigarette back up and relight it. And one time he did it, and a lady saw it, and I think she just thought that he just grabbed a random cigarette
Like a hobo.
that like was abandoned, and she nearly threw up in her car when he lit it out. But anyways, little sidetrack there.
And
But,
his old man, by the way, was very hilarious in the segment as the pedophilic priest.
Yeah.
Thank you. But the thing is, he was standing outside having a cigarette after we shot, and I'm like putting all the equipment away, and somebody was like, "Good day to you, father," because they thought he was an actual priest.
And your dad's like shit-eating grin for like the next like few hours, just like he thought that was so funny, didn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Velocipastor.
My goodness.
I will say this, like, obviously I knew going into this that this movie was going to be outrageous and stupid.
Sure.
In a good way, like in a fun way. Like,
Right.
It was like the Grindhouse trailers and the Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, movie, like double feature.
Right.
But you gotta get other things correct. You have to get the production value correct, or else the humor is not going to lie, and it's just going to be grating. Like, because all we're doing is sitting here talking about how many things the movie did wrong, and I think we would have let a lot of that slide if the movie had even an eighth of better production values, which is it didn't.
I think the editing needed to be tightened. I think that needed another pass for sure. But let me just say, like, without question, like, the filmmaker went out and he did the damn thing, and like, I have a lot of respect for that. Like, for real, a lot of respect for that. Like, anybody who goes out and says that they made their movie instead of, oh, someday I'm going to make this movie, it's going to be Velocipastor, it's going to be hilarious. Like, anybody who does that, like, I have a lot of respect for that. Like, he went out and he did it. So
good job.
I have a lot of respect for that, and any like critique is certainly like filmmaker to filmmaker,
Right. Right. Good job. Yeah, that's all I got on this. This is a hard watch. I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't as hard as some other B movies, but it still hurt.
John and I had fun. I found a bottle of rosé back in the very back of the cabinet, and John and I had a great time.
Well, I mean, I watched this while I was sore. What was that?
Should I get the main actress on the show? She does have a contact section.
I mean, you could also
the movie though.
You could also like reach for the director too and bring them both on, and she can be like, he's kind of creepy. I don't want to have an interview with him.
Oh my God, you guys are making these assumptions. You guys are ridiculous.
We're just being funny.
You guys are ridiculous.
We're just being
all right.
funny.
I'm not coming on the show. You should all over Velocipastor.
Well, anyway, we hope everyone is spending quarantine healthy and well.
Yep.
And if you wanted
Don't
to kill
abuse yellow.
If you wanted to kill some time,
Check
wash
it out.
your hands.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so if you have Prime, it's free. So wash your hands and watch Velocipastor.
I go in knowing that this is a ridiculous film.
Well, I feel that like you'll know 2 or 3 minutes into whether you're willing to go on this full ride or not.
Yeah,
and,
agreed.
Turn it off,
Agreed.
or you'll be like,
was
okay,
fun.
I'll see this through.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, John, where can they find you at on the Twitter machine?
You can find me at Tyrannosaurus Sex.
Oh, nice. Nicely done.
I can't see you if you don't come. You can find me at the Unreal J Wolves.
Lane?
You can find me at Triceratops. No, just kidding. John and I watched the pilot of Power Ranger. No, yes,
Yes.
Power
Yeah,
Rangers
Power
last
Rangers.
night. It was incredible.
From 93.
I had never seen it.
And Lane, you did wrong here. Let me. Triceratops!
Yeah, there we- There we go. There we go. Jesus. I had so many questions. Anyway, you can find me at LA_Croft. Let's talk about dinosaurs, guys.
Yeah. And you can find me at Sabertooth Tiger. Or at Brian Coddington. I also run the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network, epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, or you too want to talk to us about your innate ability to turn into a velociraptor and your issues with the priesthood, you can contact us at Cinema Psycho Show. And subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and iTunes, and we will see you next time.
He was a college student with colitis, but he became Triceratops.
Triceratops.
Epicast.